She never wanted to be a fairy tale princess.
As a member of the royal family, females were tended to be treated as honorary men.
She loves driving the tanks and firing the guns.
As the Princess Royal prepares for her 70th birthday, we've had unique access to her family and her world. Daughter.
Good morning. At Windsor.
Wife.
Any husband who makes a comment on his wife's fashion style is a very brave or risky man.
Mother.
It's unbelievable, the information that's stored in her brain. It's quite annoying as well.
It is quite annoying,
yeah.
Yes.
And grandmother.
I've offered to try and do some homeschooling. Haven't seen hiding a hair of them at that suggestion.
We hear from old friends with memories of the young princess.
She was more determined than most, more competitive than most.
See how she planned her own education.
I did volunteer to go to school, I have to say.
Became a trend-setting it girl.
The vocab is for extraordinary women.
And dedicated herself to a life of service, becoming one of the hardest working royals.
She was lovely. She really does hold a conversation with you.
Has anyone ever tried to tell her to slow down a bit?
I mean, good luck.
She's in the public eye, but has managed to stay intensely private.
Anne doesn't crave the limelight. She probably had her fill of being in the newspapers when she was young.
Being royal in the media age can be tough. Anne was a pioneer.
The pressure that is applied to the younger members of the family is hard sometimes to deal with.
The Princess Royal has always gone her own way. The first royal Olympian.
It is probably the most dangerous sport on the planet.
As fearless in the saddle.
Good evening. Shots have been fired at Princess Anne.
As in the face of a kidnapper.
I had thought about it before that. What would you do if?
Now, in close-up, Anne Elizabeth Alice Louise, the Princess Royal, as we've never seen her before.
Goldfish in a bowl here. Oh, there he goes. Hello, big boy.
Summer 2020, and like the rest of the country, the Princess Royal is self-isolating at home. In her case, Gatcombe Park in Gloucestershire.
We have cattle and sheep here, partly because environmentally you're better off if you share the feeding, actually the fertilising as well. Thank you, dear.
In any other summer, Gatcombe would be hosting the Festival of British Eventing, a sport where horses and riders undergo timed trials. Princess Anne has been the royal face of the sport for 50 years. The festival's informal, a chance for the public to see her up close. The princess's children, Zara Tyndall and Peter Phillips, live locally. Their children are on hand to help out their grandmother.
She loves seeing the rides, she loves having them around for Sunday lunches and taking them for walks and doing all the stuff that we used to do as kids. She now takes them to do those sorts of things. But
yeah, we quite like leaving them on Sundays. I'll say we'll pick them up later. See you later.
And they are off racing, off they go, round the outside, number 6, Alfie David is going like a storm round the outside there. He's on Darren Brown Lily.
The festival's a family affair. But this year, COVID-19 changed that. Once it was legal for her grandchildren to approach, the princess was ready to play school, mom.
They've got ponies and they come over and they can ride here. But they face the same challenges of everybody else in terms of homeschooling. And I think that is a challenge wherever you are. I've offered to try and do some outdoor learning, but so far it hasn't been taken up on. When I was small, we had to pick things and then press them and identify them. And I don't think anybody does that anymore. And I was thinking, might be a good idea if we started doing that again. Haven't seen hiding a hair of them at that suggestion. It's the longest time I've ever spent at Gatcombe in the 40-odd years we've been here. It's frustrating, I think, but look around him. It's not hard here. The idea of being stuck in a block of flats with small children and can't imagine how difficult that would be.
For 5 decades, she's been used to a packed work schedule. The Princess Royal didn't expect to spend her 70th year down on the farm. Working from home has been a challenge. Husband Vice Admiral Sir Tim Lawrence has seen the frustration.
Almost everything that she does in a public way involves people coming together to meet her for some reason or another. So that's been extremely difficult.
The charity work is constant.
It's Tom here. I'm just going to introduce Her Majesty the Queen.
But country broadband isn't. These aren't your average conference calls either.
Good morning. At Windsor?
Good morning. I'm very glad to have been able to join you.
Can you see everybody? You should have 6 people on your screen.
Yes, well, I can see 4 anyway.
Okay, fair enough. Actually, you don't need me. You know what I look like. With online technology, being in touch is one thing, but it's not quite the same. The ability to meet people, that's what makes the difference. I know what Twitter is, but I wouldn't go anywhere near it if you paid me, frankly. But that's a slightly different issue. So I do feel pretty useless stuck here, in relative terms to what I think I should be doing.
Whatever the new normal brings, the old normal was a life of duty. Seasons marked by state events at Buckingham Palace, evenings filled with charity dinners and speeches. Most mornings involve an early start, even before the transport arrives. The Princess has a daily schedule of public appearances. Today, they're all over Kent.
She is very hard-working. She is the busiest member of the royal family, regularly carrying out over 500 engagements a year.
Well, away days, each of those will probably be different, and different reasons for going. Many of them are voluntary organisations, and if you can do anything to raise their profile, then you will have achieved something. You are reflecting Her Majesty's position, but most of the time you are, I think, in my case, just trying to cover the bits of the country that most other people won't get to.
Huxley, come and practice your bow. Mummy, practice a curtsy then. Ready? There we are. See, it's good, isn't it? That's my curtsy. Is that right? What do you do with your hands?
Today, the first organisation is English Rural. Near Ashford, villagers are getting ready for the royal opening of some new homes.
Princess Anne's coming to visit my house. I was a bit nervous with 2 young boys, but there you go. No, it's very exciting. I hear she's quite a country girl like me.
We have to send her programmes, her briefs, her speeches, and God help me if there was something missing. She would read with a really sharp eye, and I remember once, I've never forgotten it, she said, "Private Secretary, what normally comes after 16? And I knew then that page 17 of the brief was missing.
The organisation has backstories that are quite useful to know. So that's, either length of time, people involved, impact of what it does.
She's like a sponge. It's unbelievable, the information that's stored in her brain. It's incredible. It's quite annoying as well.
It is quite annoying, yes.
Better wait a bit, haven't you?
Yes, I first registered an interest about 1.5 years or 2 years ago. But we're very happy.
And did you help with the decorating?
Huxley?
Did you help with the decorating?
To you? Oh, he's been really bashful this morning. No.
Your Royal Highness.
The first unveiling of the day, done. Then it's back to the helicopter. At Maidstone Hospital, a new helipad needs opening.
We've got about 200 people here. I don't suppose she'll be able to say hello to every single one of those, but anybody she can say hello to, I know they'll really appreciate it.
Oh, look, she's coming.
Sometimes people react in the most extraordinary ways. They get completely overawed being in front of a princess and thoroughly overdo the curtsies or the bows, or don't do it at all, or practically shake her hand off, which can happen.
You don't literally work your way through the crowd. That's usually left up to other people. In some ways, it would be just as much fun if you did it all by yourself, but it would be a bit chaotic. Although Holyrood at the garden party, I used to work up the back of the border, which is where the people who didn't want to be seen went. That was my... They were almost pretending they weren't there, so engaging them in conversation was always quite... They were always looking at, I'm not really here. I don't really want to talk to anyone.
And this is Lucia. So,
Nice to meet you.
So Lucia
Nice
is
to
the
meet you.
senior employee for the whole of the NHS, 93 years old, and Lucia now looks after the junior doctors on this site. So she keeps the way they live is called a mess, but actually it's very clean. It's not a mess at all, is it?
It's only because of her.
It's only because of Lucia.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
The impact of a royal visit, it's very hard to quantify, but you get back into the car and you see people just beaming.
It's winter, 2 hours before sundown, but the Princess Royal is only halfway through her day's engagements.
I always reminded many of our colleagues of the British Olympic Association that while we've all sort of sauntered into a board meeting at 2 o'clock that runs till 5, she's probably opened 5 hospitals by the time that she's even had lunch.
Does anyone ever try to tell her to slow down a bit? And take things easy?
I mean, good luck. We would try, and then it would be a very short conversation.
At Gillingham, there are hospital building works to inspect and staff at the Maternity Unit of the Year to congratulate.
2 events in coming year is amazing, and I know how demanding it is. So really, my hat off to her. Well, she's a remarkable, hard-working woman.
I haven't done a curtsy since I did ballet, so I'm just going to have to do a little bob.
3, 2, 1.
Here she comes.
She's got so much more energy than anybody that I know who's 70. Well, apart from various members of our family, but there's certainly she certainly doesn't act it.
Age is not a thing to her. It's very much the more she keeps doing, the younger she'll stay.
Yeah, she always says she doesn't have very good role models for slowing down.
No, that's true.
I do remember a day the princess must have met 1,000 people on 4 or 5 engagements, and I remember thinking, I'm absolutely wrecked at the end of the day. She was still giving everybody the attention she gave at the beginning of the day.
So, ma'am, if I could introduce Laura and Chris, and then new baby
Noah. Nice to see you. Will you work here?
Yeah. This is Laura's third baby.
Early Christmas present, I think.
Don't need to wrap it up. Okay. Have a very good Christmas.
Thank
you. You too.
The Princess is scheduled to land at Kensington Palace helipad at just after 4 o'clock. A cup of tea, change of clothes, and then she'll be off to a charity dinner.
There may be a change to a formal thing, a ball gown or cocktail dress, and she's so adept at chopping and changing. I've not quite mastered the art myself, but...
The Princess Royal's presence is requested at charity dinners most nights of the week. She has one golden rule.
I'm very jealous the princess doesn't drink at all.
It is a busy day for her. She does start early and then doesn't really finish until 9 o'clock at night, maybe if it's after a dinner, quite a lot later.
I remember when we were living at Gatcombe that she would come home from engagements and she'd be in exactly what she was wearing and her makeup on and stuff. Put her welly boots on, her jacket on, and then she walks up and goes to do her chickens and get her eggs.
Sitting still really doesn't happen very much.
Sometimes, of course, it's unavoidable.
Thinking, how could you possibly take that long